Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Recovery from Relapse Overeaters Anonymous meeting. Today is the 4th of November, 2025, and I'm absolutely delighted today to welcome Amanda S. Amanda came into OA in 2012. She is from Essex, but lives now very happily in Kent. So I'm going to hand it over to her to share her experience, strength, and hope. Take it away, Amanda.
Oh, thank you, Rita. Hi, my name's Amanda and I'm a recovered compulsive overeater. And I'm really happy to be here today and even happier to have woken up abstinent this morning. And yeah, thank you, Rita, for asking me to talk. And my journey has shown me that recovery from relapse is possible, even when at times it seemed totally impossible. So I came into OA on the 1st of November 2012. um, I um, I was 5'2", weighing 19 stone, which is 266 pounds, and I was morbidly obese. And God has so far released 120 pounds from me, and I'm 10 pounds away from being in a healthy BMI for the first time in my adult life. But more than that, God has given me freedom from food obsession and neutrality around food, which was something I never thought I'd have, um, and peace of mind today. And, for me, I was a serial relapser. I thought there was no hope. Um, and just before I go on with my story, just so you can see the evidence of God's work, really, in helping me through this program, Rita is going to show some pictures, which she has. So the top pictures are me at my top weight of 266 pounds, and then obviously to the left is my wedding day 2 years ago, and in the middle is me riding my horse, which is one of my greatest joys of recovery. And then the picture to the right is a picture of me taken fairly recently. Thank you. And yeah, so I am just so grateful today for the journey that I've been on. If you'd asked me a few years ago if I would have been grateful for being a serial relapser, I would have said no. I would have said, oh, if I'd only not picked up that, piece of, picked up that food, I would have been 10 years. This was when would have been 10 years abstinent. I would have been 10 years abstinent by now. But today I know that I'm exactly where God wants me to be. And I know I can share my story to help other people. And I have helped other people in this fellowship who relate to my story of relapse, because many of you who have also got experience of relapse, I felt, you'll know that as a serial relapser, I just felt totally worthless. I felt full of guilt, shame, and remorse. And yeah, at times I just thought, I'm never going to get it. I'm never going to get it. There's no way that recovery is going to work for me. And today it has. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself. So I came into OA on the 1st of November 2012 to a meeting face to face in Eltham in South London. I had been in AA for 8 years sober, and I now know that compulsive overeating is my primary illness, because I was compulsively overeating from, as long as I can remember, and alcohol sort of took the focus away from the compulsive overeating. But as soon as I put the alcohol down, the compulsive overeating came back into full flight. And yeah, so within very short amount of time, I was pretty much pushing towards morbid obesity when I put the drink down. And people would often say to me, do you think you need to go and get some help for that? And I wouldn't want to listen, because I'd given up alcohol. And far as I was concerned, I didn't want to put the food down, because that's not something that I wanted to do. I felt it would be very unfair to have to not drink and then also not eat what I wanted. So I didn't do that. And in 2012, I sort of hit a real point in my life where my weight got to such a level that I had to do something about it. And yeah, I just felt like there was, it wasn't the emotional side of this illness that pushed me into the rooms, it was the physical side. And I met a friend who was in AA at a convention, and she told me about OA. She had dropped a considerable amount of weight, told me about OA, and said, come along to a meeting. So I went along to that meeting, and I sat there, and actually I heard what I'd heard when I first went to AA, which was I heard hope and I heard people telling my story. Um, and I liked what I heard. And someone sitting opposite me said to me, I can't wait for the miracle to start happening in you. And I didn't know what she meant. I know what she means now. And yeah, so I really got into OA. I got involved I found myself a sponsor. I got involved in service. I got abstinent pretty quickly. And, for me, I really embraced the program, and I had 4 years of almost 4 years of abstinence, and in that time, pretty quickly, probably within about 2 years, I'd lost 7 stone, and life was getting really quite exciting, because I was looking much better. I was fitter. I was able to, when I was younger, I'd ridden horses for many years, and I was able to get back on a horse again after many years, which was just amazing. And the fact that I was looking like a normal size person meant that I had attracted, the opposite sex, and I met my partner, my now husband, at that time, and yeah, life was just, really good. I was sober, I was abstinent, I met this lovely man, um, and yeah, I just felt like promises all come true for me. Um, but like what happens in recovery, gives us a life, and then sometimes, we live that life too fully and we forget about recovery. And because I was in AA, bit by bit, my life got fuller. It got fuller, and I just thought I can do this via AA. I don't need to come to OA. I don't need to go and hear the experience, strength, and hope of other compulsive overeaters. I think I've cracked it. And I believe that, I've heard this saying in the rooms that, we came for the vanity and we stayed for the sanity. And I certainly came for the vanity the first time. And bit by bit, I left the rooms, and I'd heard people share about their eating their children's food and stuff, and I'd never done that 'cause I'd never had children. But my partner had two young girls, and they used to come and spend the weekends with us. And I ended up relapsing. I ended up leaving OA, uh, getting through a really tough Christmas where I was really white knuckling it. And then in January, picking up my binge food, stealing my stepdaughter's food in the kitchen and hiding away. My husband's in AA, he's in recovery. Um, and he knows obviously all about my program. So I had to really hide away from him, be really dishonest. And I started this relapse, and I immediately knew that I was in trouble. And I immediately knew that I needed to come back to OA, because I had that, that knowledge of the program and knowledge of being in another fellowship and having worked that program. And I went back to my meeting in Eltham, and I was full of guilt, shame, and remorse. And I said I'd relapsed. And but they were full of love for me, and they said, come back. And I got another sponsor, and I started going through the steps again. And I would get 2 or 3 months in, and then I would pick up again. And this was a cycle that I repeated 4 or 5 years. I just could not move out of relapse. Everything I tried just didn't work. Um, and it was because I wasn't connecting to a higher power. I wasn't doing all the things that are suggested. And I was just trying to run my life on my own self-will. And I hadn't really accepted that I was a compulsive overeater. I didn't want to be a compulsive overeater, but I was just stuck in that will. It was like being in a wilderness. And I remember going around a supermarket, and it was quite close to where the meeting was. And oh, sorry, my video seems to have stopped for some reason. Oh, okay. Right.
That's just because you were breaking up, Linda. I just stopped it.
Oh, oh, okay.
Or
Sorry.
Amanda,
Can
sorry.
you can you hear me now?
Perfectly.
Yeah. Okay. So it was really close to where the meeting was. I remember filling my basket with binge foods and just wanting to just go and binge. And I remember looking around to see if there was anybody from the meeting in the shop because I had that real fear that there was going to be people in the shop from OA that would be seeing me. And it was just this, terrible sort of, well, I knew what I was doing was not right. Yeah, I could not stop doing it. And even with the knowledge of OA, I couldn't stop doing it. And yeah, so this, as I said, went on for 5 years. And then we came into lockdown in sort of May 2021. Um, I I decided to do a diet. And obviously, we know in OA that diets are not something that we do. And I picked up a diet and lost some weight. And at that point, the insanity hadn't sort of come in to say, "What are you doing? This is not what you do." Um, and my mum had a birthday, and at that birthday, I had lost a little bit of weight from this diet. And I decided that it would be okay to have just one piece of cake because I'd done well on this diet, and one piece of cake wouldn't hurt me. And I picked up that piece of cake, and it wasn't just one piece of cake, as we know. Um, it ended up being the whole cake. And I couldn't wait to get rid of my mum out of my kitchen, out of my house, so I could just go and binge on this cake. And I went into a 7-day binge, in which time I put on 10 pounds. And somebody from the New Freedom meeting who used to come to my face-to-face meeting had messaged me around this time. This is what I call God instances. You know, um, she messaged me to say this is a really nice online meeting if you want to come along. I went to that meeting, and yeah, I heard again the hope that I needed to hear. And we got a sponsor from that meeting. I went through the steps and I got abstinent, and that was in May 2021. And yeah, life got good again. And for me, I sponsored, I did service, I was an active member of this fellowship, and life got really, really, really good. I got married in July 2023, so 2 years ago. I got my horse. Um, and just yeah, the children that my stepchildren actually came to live with us 4 years ago, and so I was a full-time mum as well. So life was really, really busy. Um, and for me, dishonesty started to creep in. That for me wasn't the end of my relapse. Towards Christmas last year, I started to get quite dishonest with my sponsor. And my sponsor would ask me in my weekly calls, how was my food? And I would just brush over it. I couldn't wait to get, out of the meeting with her because I just didn't want to talk about it, because the truth was my food wasn't great. It was messy. I hadn't picked up my binge foods, but I wasn't weighing and measuring. And yeah, my illness was telling me that it was okay to eat certain things, or to have certain portions, or to work certain things into my food plan. It was okay to miss meetings. It was okay not to do my prayers every day and to do my step tens. And bit by bit, the illness came back in, and in January this year, I ended up picking up my binge foods, and in a way, I felt like it was myself crying out for help, really, because when I was in this sort of slow relapse, but not quite realizing it was a relapse, not consciously realizing it was a relapse. My illness could convince me that actually I wasn't in relapse. But when I'd actually picked up the binge food, I knew there was no sort of, it was just black and white. I was in relapse. And I picked up the phone to my sponsor. It was one evening of relapse, and I said, "Listen, I'm in relapse." And actually, when we it, she said, "You relapsed for quite a while, and you just haven't been dishonest. You've just been dishonest about things." And I knew at that moment that, yeah, I needed to change, and I needed to do something different. And that all of this time that I was being dishonest, I was blocking God out. Um, and I guess I hadn't really accepted that I was a compulsive overeater. Still at that point, didn't want to be one. And yeah, so I had to do things differently. So I went to the Cornwall meeting in the US on a Saturday afternoon on Zoom, and I found a new sponsor. And I asked this lady to sponsor me, and she took me through the steps quickly. She also told me that I was not to have sugar in any form at all. So, sugar is one of my binge foods, but I'd always been told that if sugar was the fifth or more ingredient, it was okay. But I was told you need to check everything for sugar, because you cannot have that because you're allergic to it. So that was one sort of major thing I changed. And I went back through the steps, and I this time, you know, I realized, that my illness was physical, emotional, spiritual, and that I needed a spiritual solution. And I think I'd been trying to run my recovery on my own self-will, for, you know, over a decade. For I was fighting this for 13 years. And yeah, I just couldn't fight anymore. And I've now been abstinent for just over 9 months. And I have to say that, it's the first time in my life that I am not obsessed with food. God has granted me that freedom from the obsession of food and of compulsive overeating. And I have neutrality around food today. And I do things differently today, totally differently in regards to my program. I put it first, I put it at the top of my list. I do at least 30 minutes in the morning of of prayer and meditation, and I write my food plan out, and I do my readings, and I connect. And I also today, yeah, so I heard, I used to hear people sharing about the step 10 train, and I used to think, I don't want to do that. That sounds like far too much trouble, far too much commitment for me. Um, and it wasn't something that I was willing to do. And, my sponsor said to me, think about going on the step 10 train. So for those who aren't aware of the step 10 train, it's every 2 weeks you get paired with another person, could be anywhere, who are on the train, they could be anywhere in the world, and you share your daily step tens. And I decided to go onto the step 10 train, and it has been the biggest game changer in my recovery. It has really helped me, and it's taught me to be vulnerable, honest, and it's given me friends in lots of different countries, that I've been able to share with, and have the privilege to hear their daily step tens, their fears and their resentments and their gratitudes, and I'm able to share with them. And today I heard about, self-sacrifice. If we want to do this program, if we want to keep our recovery, we want to keep abstinent and keep, spiritually fit, we have to do self-sacrifice for others. It can't be simple. It can't just be easy. It can't be convenient. And for me, my recovery had been very convenient to fit in things where I could. Today, I work with other people, I do service. If I'm asked to do a share, I'll do a share, because I know that I need to do that to be able to stay, as a recovered compulsive overeater today. And you know, I just am so grateful that I have the peace of mind today that I've never had before. And I know that whatever comes up in my life, I can process it through the tools of this program, through connecting to my higher power and asking my higher power to help show me where I need to be. And there's been many times in the last 9 months where I've not wanted to be where I am, and it's been uncomfortable, but it's where I've needed to be in my recovery, and it's where God is. God always teaches me where I need to be, shows me something that I need to see, even if I don't want to see it, and I'm really, really grateful for that. And yeah, and a typical day for me is, now I'm able to go where I couldn't go before, where I wouldn't go somewhere in case, but I just would be white knuckling it with the food. And today, I have the freedom to go wherever I want, and one of my greatest joys in recovery is my horse, and I ride 5 times a week. Anybody that knows me knows that I talk about my horse a lot, and I believe that I've found my spirituality has really been helped by connecting with my horse, and my horse gives me spirituality, it also gives me exercise, and I have a bond with my horse, and that I compare that to the relationship that I've built up in the last 7 years with my horse. I compare that to building a relationship with my higher power. It took time, it took work, it took trust, it took vulnerability, all of these things to help me um, know that actually life is going to be okay. And for me, as a serial relapser, um, who thought there was no way out and thought I was always going to be stuck where I was, to know that today I have that freedom, and that I don't need to look back and have regrets and say, oh, I would have been like nearly 13 years abstinent if I hadn't done that. That's not my path. My path is where I am today, and I'm grateful that God has given me my journey, so I can hopefully help somebody else on their journey. And if you are here today and you are in relapse, please know that you are loved and that there is hope, and that you know God did for me what I could not do for myself. And if I can do this, anyone can. And I'm really, really grateful, Rita, for asking me to share. And I'm sorry my camera, or my internet was breaking up, but I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Oh, Amanda, thank you so much for your message of depth and weight. And I'm just going to read a little paragraph out of the big book to finish that off. It's on page 475, Twice Gifted, the story. There's a paragraph that says, my physical being has certainly undergone a transformation, but the major transformation has been spiritual. The hopelessness has been replaced by abundant hope and sincere faith. The people of AA and OA have provided a haven where, if I remain aware and keep my mind quiet enough, my higher power leads me to amazing realizations. I find joy in my daily life, in being of service, in simply being. I have found rooms full of wonderful people, and for me, each and every one of the big book's promises have come true. The things that I have learned from my own experience from the big book and from my friends in OA, patience, acceptance, honesty, humility, and true faith in the power greater than myself, are the tools I use today to live my life, this precious life. Today, my life is filled with miracles, big and small, not one of which would have ever come to pass had I not found the door of Alcoholics Anonymous or Alcoholics Anonymous. And we'll stop the reading there, or stop this recording.